Okay, hello folks, and welcome to video number 2 of 6, welcoming you to the Blue Room at Queens Point Pre-K. I am Ms Janice, and we are going over the student supply list that you have already received, but I will be putting a link in the video description for you. This list, as we go over it, I'll be explaining some of why we need the things we need and why we do the things we do. On the top of the list, it asks for a backpack filled with a full change of clothing. First, the backpack. Backpacks are something that the children will be bringing to and from school every day. We recommend a full-size backpack. If you have already purchased a novelty size, a toy size sort of a backpack, that's okay. We're going to use that until it wears out or until there's some reason, if it does become problematic, if your child has a lot of belongings that they need. It says here on the list that the backpack should come with a full change of clothing in it, or actually 2 full changes, 2 tops, 2 bottoms, 2 underwears, 2 socks. Yes, please. But that is not going to stay in the backpack. That is going to stay here. We have a bin that we keep it in. It's a little shoebox. The bag of clothing stays here. This is primarily used for bathroom accidents, which even if your child is fully trained, sometimes it is still age appropriate to have a PP accident. It happens and it's not too big of a deal. It often coincides with maybe something exciting and fun going on in the classroom where they don't want to stop playing. Maybe it happens because we have some sort of a schedule change. We do have certain times of the day that we remind the children to go. If we feel that anybody is resisting, we don't remind them anymore. We tell them, no, it's time to go. And so we have our procedures for this, but there will still be the occasional accident, especially sometimes ones that we don't expect. If you do, however, expect that your child might have several accidents, if you're still working on toilet learning, I also recommend a pair of shoes. When children have accidents while standing up, we do find that we need shoes as well. So use your judgment about what your child is going to need. But remember, these clothing items are not only used for the bathroom accidents, but sometimes we'll spill a full container of milk on a child, or a large quantity of paint will get on a child's clothes, because welcome to pre-K. So this, I'm gonna take you for a little walk. Here we go. This goes to our cubby area. This one was here. Also on your supply list, it asks for some blankets, a blanket and a crib sheet specifically. So you can see how these fit in the cubbies. So please do not send a very large blanket. Please send just a crib size sheet, and that way these can fit inside the space in the cubbies. If you send, if you send a really big blanket, a full-size blanket, it ends up falling on the floor a lot, and that's how we get the germs, and we do not want the germs all over our blankets. So, okay, so yes, you are going to send the crib sheet, and please label the crib sheet with your child's name, and please, if you can manage it, put that name on the short side of the sheet instead of the long side, because if you put it on the short side, that helps the children find which side to put it on, because this is something they are doing themselves. They are putting their sheets and blankets on their cots themselves and taking them off. They are also remembering on Mondays to put them in their cubbies because they have just taken them home on Fridays for washing. So they will be doing that themselves. Let me show you again. The size of the blanket is, the size of the blanket is like a baby receiving blanket. It does not need to be big. It's really just not that cold in this classroom. Alrighty, I am still talking to you from the Cubby area because there is a lot that we do at the Cubby area. When the children arrive at school, they are going to hang up their jackets and hang up their backpacks on the hooks. Then they are going to take their water out of their water spot in their backpack, and they're going to have a water bottle, something like this. It is a spill-proof bottle, not glass, and not too big, and they are going to take that and put it into the water spot so they have access to it all day long. After that, they are going to take any food that they have in their backpacks. Now, most of the children do not bring food from home. Most of the children have the breakfast, lunch, and snack that is provided at school. But if they do have something that they brought from home, that's where we want to put it. They're going to take it out of their backpack themselves. They're going to put it on top of their cubbies. That way we do see it, we know it's there, and we can remind them of it. If they have blankets on a Monday, they put them in their cubbies. If they have folders in their backpacks that are used sometimes for communication, sometimes for some homeworks, those they are going to put in the blanket and folder spots. And then they are going to use the bathroom and wash hands. This is on the wall as a visual schedule. It has the pictures, it has the words. We do use it to help the children prompt themselves and keep themselves on track. I really encourage using this sort of a support at home as well. I often hear from families, hang on, let me do this. Pause. Okay, hi, there we are. I often hear from families that it's difficult to get out of the door in the morning, that children are having trouble going through all of the things they have to do at night, and that it's a big struggle. These sorts of visual schedules can be a very useful support with these kinds of daily procedural tasks. Helping kids remember to do these items in a certain order so they don't forget steps, having a space for them to check back independently to be able to keep themselves on track. When we have something like this, there's a greater opportunity to be able to say, hey, good job, you did it, once they get to the end. Okay, so what else is on this list? I see tissues and paper towels and hand soap and baby wipes. And yes, we definitely need all of those items. I am going to say, if you would like to wait until January or February to bring them, that would absolutely help us with our storage issues here. If everybody brings all of the paper towels and all of the tissues at the very beginning of the year, we run out of room for the children. So consider that if that is helpful to you, if it's easier for you to bring it at the beginning of the year, we'll make it work. Okay, so as we talk about our arrival procedures and our cubbies and our belongings, I realize that it definitely sounds like a lot of independence that's required of the children. And of course, in the very beginning, we give them plenty of support along the way. There's a lot of hand-holding in the beginning weeks, but the goal really is for the children to become self-reliant. This is a time when separation anxiety might be high, even for children who are not expressing it outwardly, even for the children who aren't crying a whole lot. There is still this feeling of a new space and the anxiety that goes with it. We find that being able to do things for themselves knowing what's expected and being able to reach the goals themselves is the most excellent tool for managing that anxiety. And then it's not a new place anymore, it becomes their place, and they feel completely a sense of ownership for their space here in the classroom. So that is very much one of our huge goals. Also, all of this self-reliance is linked to the executive functioning. Now, if you have not heard of executive functioning, maybe you have heard over the years people have said, reading to your children every day is the best way to increase their future scholastic success, their academic success. You've probably heard that. It's something that people are saying less and less these days. And I do not want to in any way give you the impression that you should not be reading to your children every day. Folks, you should be reading to your children every day. If you are not having an actual sit-down bedtime story, you should be reading a recipe with them and going over the steps and proceeding through some of the steps together with them. You should be reading a newspaper article about a new exhibit at the zoo or whatever. You should be reading to your children every day. But that is not necessarily the most current thinking on what is the best way to prepare your children for future academic success. Executive functioning skills is something you'll be hearing a lot more about in the next few years. The research coming out talks about time planning, being able to figure out how much time you're going to need to complete a task and setting aside that time. Organizational skills, having a space for things and putting them back in those areas. Emotional regulation, knowing what is a big deal or a huge problem and knowing what is a little deal and handling those things accordingly. There's a few other executive functions you will be hearing me talk a lot about. These are ways by having the children take care of their own belongings and increasing their self-reliance and really independence in the classroom. This is how we are setting them up for future academic success. It's one of the big ways. Okay, there's a few other things on this list, but the last one I want to talk about is this folder. This is going to be, there's 3 of them that we're going to need because we need 3 of them. A simple but durable folder. One of the things that we do use them for is to send home some homework sheets. Now, the homework sheets that I'm showing you are completely optional. These are for you to decide if you wish to use them or not. The reason, 2 reasons. One reason I send these home is because families over the years have asked for them. They would like to have homework to do with their children at home, and when I'm the one sending them home, then I know I am making sure you have something that is age appropriate, developmentally appropriate. Even so, there is still a very wide range of what is expected at this age. Some children will do this completely independently. Others may need you to help them go hand over hand to not just trace, but also follow the different kinds of directions on a page. I'm going to take a second and show you this one. Fill in a 9 on the 10 frame. This grid you see is a 10 frame. This is what it looks like when you fill in 9 on the 10 frame. Sorry, here we go. Making something in 9 of the 10 boxes is how you fill in 9 on the 10 frame, okay? The 10 frame is a handy tool because 5 on top, 5 on the bottom mirrors 5 fingers on each hand. This goes home sometimes on a Tuesday, sometimes on a Wednesday, sometimes on a Thursday. I shoot for those days. It goes home in the folder. As I said, if I never see it again, I'm totally fine with that. This is your decision. If you send it back, I will put a sticker on it and send it home again. If you send it back fully completed the day after I sent it home, I will be sad. There are 3 double-sided pages in here. Children should not be doing this all in one night, which brings us to the second reason I do use these worksheets. This is another exercise in executive functioning, planning on doing 1 page or 2, both sides of a page each night for a period of time, figuring out which days, oh no, we have swimming or we have gymnastics on these days, so we're not going to do it on these days, but we can do it on these days. Use a calendar to help your child plan when these things can be done. That is an extraordinary executive functioning practice. Also useful is remembering to take it home and remembering to bring it back and remembering to take it out of the backpack and put it in the folder spot. This is all the kind of practice that is really, truly valuable for children going forward in their academic careers. I think that is now the end of video number 2. I will see you in video number 3.